अस्सलाम वालेकुम। प्रोग्राम एम्बेसी रोड में खुशामदीद। नाज़रीन, आज की इस महफ़िल में हमारे मेहमान हैं पाकिस्तान में ब्राज़ील के सफ़ीर जनाब क्लाउडियो लेंस, और हम उनसे गुफ्तगू करेंगे पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील के ताल्लुक़ात के बारे में। पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील हमेशा से ताउन पर मबनी for quite some time. How will you evaluate the relations between Pakistan and Brazil at this juncture?
They have always been very friendly. We have a tradition of almost 70 years of diplomatic relations. Brazil was one of the first countries to recognize the independent Pakistan. In spite of the distance, our relations have always been very, very friendly. They are more and more friendly. Of course, we have a homework to do. We are faraway countries. Trade relations have improved last year. This is good news, but they are beneath the potential they still can have.
They can be expanded further.
Oh, yes, by all means, yes. News are good. To give you some figures, last year the total volume of trade between Pakistan and Brazil was almost $500 million US, which meant 30% more than in 2015, which was of $369 million.
Yes.
This is good news. But we can easily double that amount. And I think this is a common objective of the two countries. We also are noticing much interest here in Brazilian culture. I keep on finding Pakistani friends asking me about our carnival, which will take place in 15 days in Rio de Janeiro and in all major cities in Brazil.
Yes.
Yes. Some of them will go for the carnival. Some of them have already been there for the carnival. I mention this because it is an example of an aspect of our culture that is known here in Pakistan. Of course, we are known as the soccer country.
Yes.
And I also find Pakistani friends, also from the Pakistan Football League, which share an interest. We have been supporting some Pakistani coaches of soccer to have courses in Brazil. We do this every year. Of course, as you know, we also offer free courses of capoeira in the embassy.
Yes.
This has been a constant success. And we hope, inshallah, this year to have the first Pakistan championship of capoeira.
Great.
So relations are as they
They're
always have been.
multi-dimensional relations, cultural,
Yes.
trade, economic.
Yes, because you see, we have always been friendly countries.
Yes.
Not close because geography never helped. But whenever there are international issues, Brazil and Pakistan usually vote together,
Yes.
usually think the same way. We are emerging economies, each one its own way. We are religious people, each one its own way. We are people who have different origins. In Brazil, as in Pakistan, we have different provinces. We descend, each Brazilian will descend from Europeans, native Indians, Africans, and here in Pakistan, of course, you can have those who descend from Indians, from Afghans.
Multiracial country.
Yes. And also we have many religions, as here in Pakistan, and both our constitutions are constitutions of tolerance. The Pakistani constitution is a beautiful a beautiful law, a beautiful legacy from Qari Azam.
Yes.
And we share the same ideals: tolerance, the rule of the law. And we have nothing to separate us except geography.
Yes.
Which nowadays becomes more and more relative.
Yes. Ambassador, going back to
yes,
trade,
yes.
you shared a very good
Yes,
news
yes.
that trade between the two countries is increasing.
Yes.
And there has been a substantial increase in trade.
Yes.
And which areas you think that trade can be expanded further between the two countries, Pakistan and Brazil?
Well, I think it is useful first to see what is already happening. So, major Brazilian exports to Pakistan last year included soybean oil, cotton, iron, steel, fuel pumps for tractors, pulp for wood, plastic, etc. On the other hand, Pakistan's exports to Brazil
Textile.
included, yes, first item is always textile items.
Yes.
But let's not forget that Pakistan is very, very strong in other fields which are very appreciated in Brazil. So we have been buying from Pakistan your first-rate surgical items, and your sports equipments.
Yes.
Yes, and surgical equipments.
From Sialkot and Wazirabad.
Oh, yes. Sialkot is a huge exporter and importer from Brazil. We have much relations with them.
Yes.
Now, to answer your question, even though these areas, these sectors, probably will keep on being preferable sectors for export and import, I think there is more potential in both ways for livestock, dairy products, agriculture in general, sugar, ethanol, mining, infrastructural development, pharmaceuticals, and energy. I would like to stress particularly infrastructural development. I really would like to have Brazilian firms investing here in Pakistan in all the opportunities that will more and more arise with the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor,
yes.
and with ongoing projects of infrastructure like CASA 1000 and TAPI. They are taking some time to finally begin being implemented. I know there have been some delays,
yes,
but they are steadily going on, little by little.
Yeah. But Master, talking about the agriculture,
yes,
and dairy products that you are talking.
Yes.
We are a very distant countries, that you have already said that geographically we are far apart.
Yes.
So is it viable to extend cooperation to each other in this field of dairy farming and agriculture?
By all means. We are about to sign, Brazil and Pakistan, perhaps in the next few months, an agreement of technical cooperation,
okay,
which will facilitate all this sort of cooperation, both sides. Of course, we have something to offer to you in terms of cooperation, but we should not forget that Pakistan too has its own, which can be used by Brazil. This in the field of cooperation. In the field of trade, this is not really a major problem. For instance, Brazil has been exporting poultry to Pakistan steadily since last year. I see no major difficulty why Pakistan could not export more its dairy products to Brazil.
Yes.
I also think that as long as the Gwadar port becomes more and more active...
It becomes operational.
Yes. Obviously, this should facilitate trade between even a country in South America like Brazil and
yes,
Pakistan.
Yes.
We have there a new door which is opening.
Master, talking about the energy sector,
Yes.
You mentioned that this is one sector where Pakistan and Brazil can make progress and
Yes.
expand it. Pakistan, as you know, needs a lot of energy. We are already suffering from energy crisis.
Yes.
So can Brazil be helpful to us in overcoming the energy crisis?
Yes, you know, we have expertise in that. The embassy, by the way, will be present in 2 major conferences of energy, which will take place in Islamabad in this month and next month.
Okay.
We are
organized by your embassy?
No, by 2 Pakistani institutions.
Okay.
And this is a major field of collaboration. Our expertise is and will always be available for our Pakistani friends. The main problem Pakistan and Brazil face is climate change.
Yes.
In Brazil, for instance, we have been having a drought in the northeast of Brazil, which has been lasting for 6 years. We have never seen that. Water is lacking even in major cities of Brazil. Obviously, in a few cases, we are having to cut down energy, just as you have to do here in Pakistan. This is very, very serious. We cannot downplay this big risk and challenge for our 2 countries. However, there is some ground for optimism. I see that the government of Pakistan has been doing concrete steps in this field. Cuts in energy have been less frequent, less intense. And I'm aware that the efforts of the government have been successful, but the challenge is enormous.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the energy sector, Brazil, for instance, has been experimenting in the hydropower sector. You have built dams, big dams in Brazil. Can there be a cooperation or collaboration between Pakistan and Brazil to build dams, water reservoirs, and then producing electricity from them?
By all means, this is one of the fields we can cooperate. I invite, in case there is any new project that needs joint venture or the participation of foreign companies, that proposals reach the embassy so that we diffuse this in Brazil. We also have experience not only in big dams, but in medium and small dams, which perhaps are more appropriate and necessary for Pakistan right now. Yes. You have a huge potential in the mountains, Gilgit-Baltistan. It's just a matter of building more dams.
But in the energy sector, again, the renewable resources of energy are now being exploited all over the world. What is your view of cooperation between Pakistan and Brazil to get energy from the renewable resources like the solar energy, the wind energy, and other energies?
I think you touched a very important point. We are also available for our Pakistani friends to help with our experience in that. Even though we face this common challenge, we also have, Pakistan and Brazil, the same assets. As regards renewable energy, Pakistan has an enormous potential, both for solar energy and for wind energy. You also produce and export ethanol. And it is very, very important for Pakistan, as it is for Brazil, to diversify our energy metrics. You cannot rely, even if you build...
on one source of energy, yes.
If you build dozens of dams, this is very good. You have a short-term solution, but it may not be sustainable if the water is not there.
If there's a water crisis, yes.
Yeah, this is very serious.
You
yes.
mentioned ethanol, and Brazil is so well known for
Yes.
using ethanol as a
Yes.
fuel.
Yes.
Pakistan is also producing some quantity of ethanol, but Pakistan can produce more, and this fuel can be popularized in Pakistan. But I think Pakistan needs to introduce this fuel among its population with the help of Brazil, because Brazil is already using it.
Yes, I fully agree. However, I think we have to be realistic in the sense that, in the sense that the use of ethanol is also dependent on market needs. If the oil prices are low, any country will use less ethanol.
Yes, that's right.
This is a pity because, of course, gasoline, diesel, etc. are very pollutant. But this is a reality we have to face and accept. For instance, in Brazil, we do have a very, very successful ethanol program. All our cars are flex in the sense that any driver can choose to either ethanol or gasoline.
Yes, yes.
But in practice, now that oil prices
Have gone
down, most people will choose petrol. I repeat, is this a pity? Yes, it is a pity, because we are polluting the environment. But it's something hard to avoid. However, I fully agree that each country who can afford it should have the choice of
to use any of the fuel.
Ethanol, yes. Because the contrary is true. If oil prices go to the stars, as they did in the past, what will Pakistan do?
Come back to ethanol.
Yes, yes, and it's better to be prepared before this happens.
We'll take a short break here and
yes,
then we'll
please.
continue
of
discussion.
Yes.
Welcome back. हमारी गुफ्तगू जारी है पाकिस्तान में ब्राज़ील के सफ़ीर से. Other aspects of trade and economic cooperation between Brazil and Pakistan, joint ventures. What are the probability or possibility of starting joint ventures between Brazil and Pakistan? Our entrepreneurs, our investors can go to Brazil, invest there, and similarly, the Brazilian investor, if they find this market lucrative and profitable, can come to Pakistan and invest here.
The possibilities are broad. I think some of the areas, the sectors I have mentioned, are particularly useful for joint ventures. Livestock, dairy products, sugar, ethanol, mining, infrastructural works, pharmaceuticals, energy. What we need is to put our businessmen together. To a certain extent, of course, they have contacts. Brazilian missions have come to Brazil. I'm aware that in a few days, 2 missions will go to Brazil from Pakistan, one from the Karachi Chamber of Commerce, another from the Islamabad Chamber of Commerce. We will also profit to see a little of our carnival. This is necessary, indispensable, but it is not enough. I'm going myself to Lahore next week to discuss the creation of a business council, a Pakistan-Brazil business council.
In Lahore?
Yeah, I'll discuss this in Lahore, because in Lahore there are already some companies who do good business with Brazil. So it's natural to begin in a place where there is a very flourishing ongoing trade relations. But the idea is to try to stimulate the participation of businessmen from Karachi, from Islamabad and Rawalpindi, of course, from
Faisalabad,
Sialkot, of course, Peshawar, why not? This will take time. we have to be realistic. But a first step must be done. So we are trying to establish, perhaps it will begin in a small scale, but people who do business with Brazil all over Pakistan will know that in case they need, they will find similar-minded businessmen who are already there to help them.
So there is going to be a joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry between Pakistan and Brazil.
Yes, not yet a Chamber of Commerce. This is a modest, but I think an important first step. It will rather be a Pakistan-Brazil business council. Yes, which is a bit less formal, but it is a first step towards a Chamber of Commerce, which is something heavier. It is a bigger ambition.
But then Pakistani pharmaceutical companies, you know, they can go there and set up factories and export their medicines not only in Brazil, but they could be exported to other parts of South American.
Certainly, certainly. In these cases, of course, if they can establish joint ventures, it is the ideal, because they will have local help.
Yes.
Of businessmen, of similar-minded businessmen. But I think Brazil can be a hub for Pakistani companies to other countries in South America. And I'm also convinced that Pakistan can more and more become a hub for its geographical, for the whole of Asia.
Textile. Pakistan is well known for its textile products. And
yes.
So, what are the chances that Pakistani textile producers or manufacturers go there and set up their industry there and then start exporting their products to other South American countries?
I think this would be ideal, because you have very, very high qualities, and unfortunately import duties can be a hindrance. So if you can establish there with the high quality products you have, you won't be paying high import duties, and there could be an expansion of Pakistani production there.
Right. Agriculture, dairy products are one aspect, but in agriculture is a very vast field.
Yes.
Which other areas Pakistan and Brazil can cooperate?
Well, we have been mentioning the energy field. We have been mentioning the building of dams. I think in siderurgy also there could be more cooperation. Steel, for instance, Pakistan steel with Brazilian companies. You have a huge soil in Pakistan. What you have in Balochistan and other provinces is enormous. In some cases you have the hugest production, or at least the hugest amount of minerals in the whole world.
Yes.
The problem is that, as we know very well, you could not exploit these
minerals.
Yes.
These resources.
Yes. As long as you are able to exploit more these resources, foreign investment will obviously ensue, because you have minerals that other countries don't have, or they don't have in the amount you have.
Yes.
So this is a blessing Pakistan has, which unfortunately has not yet turned fully to your advantage.
Yes. So we'll take another short break here.
Yes, please.
नाज़रीन, एक मुख्तसर ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद हम गुफ्तगू का ये सिलसिला जारी रखेंगे पाकिस्तान में ब्राज़ील के सफ़ीर से, और वो हमें बता रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील में मुख्तलिफ़ शोबों में किस तरह ताउन को फ़रोग़ दिया जा सकता है। इससे हम बातचीत कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में ब्राज़ील के सफ़ीर से, और वो हमें बता रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील के दरमियान मुख्तलिफ़ शोबों में ताउन के वसी इम्कानात मौजूद हैं। Mr. Talking about the political scenario in Brazil, the Brazilian president was impeached. It looked that Brazil is in for a big political crisis. Is that over, or you're still passing through many difficulties?
Well, the political crisis, fortunately, is over. The new president, which is the former vice president, is firmly doing his job. He has strong support in the Congress. Perhaps he is the Brazilian president who has enjoyed more support in the Congress in the last 10 years.
Than his predecessor.
Yes. This is excellent because he has a huge challenge. Approving structural reforms that are vital for Brazilians' future. The first reform he has already been able to approve. He has established a ceiling, a limit for government expenditure in the next 20 years, which means that if the government does not have the money for this or for that, the government won't spend this money. Of course, within reason, some priorities like health and education will be preserved, but sacrifices are necessary because the government in the last few years had been spending more than what it can afford. So a first step towards fiscal balance has been taken, fiscal discipline has been taken. The government has approved a constitutional amendment to force its own, the government, not to spend, and it is bound not to spend. But now we have another huge step ahead, which is a reform in the pension system. This is a problem for most countries nowadays. Obviously, it is a huge problem for Brazil. Our population is becoming older. The pension system is becoming more and more expensive. We really cannot afford the pension system as it is today. However, as every governor knows, perhaps nothing is more difficult than changing the pension system.
Yes.
You touch the lives of people. You touch the interests of people. And politicians, of course, have their electors, which they hear. So there is always widespread resistance. So it is fortunate that this government first is determined to pass a huge reform in the pension system, and secondly, that realistically it has congressional support.
Great.
So it is hoped that during the current year, a reform will pass. With fiscal discipline, with a reform in the pension system, our economy will more and more redress itself, provided, of course, other factors do not intervene. Of course, we are dependent on commodity prices abroad.
Yes, but Mr. Brazil is termed as one of the emerging economies of the world, one of those 7, 8 economies which are emerging, which are likely to become global economy. So the political crisis always affect the economic growth, economic development. To what extent the political crisis that beset Brazil in recent years has affected its economic growth?
Unfortunately, it has affected a lot, yes. We actually went into a recession. It was very difficult. It was not only due to the political crisis. To be fair, the step down in Chinese economy, which is a huge buyer for us of commodities, also had a role. But the good news is that, as I was saying, we are recovering. I have here reports from the International Monetary Fund. The latest reports point to a slow but steady recovery.
Growth, yes.
And of course, this recovery will tend to intensify with the fiscal discipline, which I'm glad to confirm has already been acquired, and with the reform in the pension system. Other reforms are also being pursued. One of them, a reform in labor laws. It's also a difficult reform, but some modernization is necessary. And the government is trying hard to find a compromise between employers and employees in benefit of the economy. And it is hoped that it will succeed.
Mr. Corruption is a challenge. Pakistan and rest of the world is facing this challenge because corruption is affecting the economic growth. It also affects and adversely impacts the economies of the countries which are in the grip of corruption. There were allegations that some allegations of corruption on some high office holders of Brazil. So is this problem being solved and taken care of?
You have aptly in your answer mentioned the bad news and the good news. Corruption is a huge problem for Brazil. Part of our political crisis, a huge amount of our political crisis
from this
is the demoralization of some institutions, some politicians who were not up to their task. It is a source of worry for the Brazilian population. We know that in the case of some of our provinces, the corruption was overwhelming. But we are learning the hard way. The population is not disposed to tolerate that. But when I talk about the population, I'm not talking only of the common man. I'm talking also of a new generation of judges, of prosecutors, of some decent politicians, young politicians. I'm talking about the social media. I'm talking about the marvelous role of the press in Brazil. I'm talking about a free country in which everything is discussed, everything is investigated, everything comes to light. So Brazil regrets profoundly what it has been living. But institutions are strong, investigations are ongoing in the light, and we now have had, for the first time in our history, important CEOs and important politicians in jail.
Because of corruption?
Yes.
On account of corruption?
Yes, yes, yes.
Great, thank you very
Yes.
much, Ambassador. नाज़रीन, आज इस प्रोग्राम में आपने पाकिस्तान में ब्राज़ील के सफ़ीर जनाब क्लाडियो लिंस की गुफ्तगू सुनी। उन्होंने कहा पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील के दरमियान तजारत और मईशत के शोबों में वसी ताउन के इम्कानात मौजूद हैं, और उन्होंने वो एरियाज़ भी हमें बताए हैं जिनमें कि दोनों ममालिक आपस में ताउन को बढ़ा सकते हैं। इसके अलावा उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि पाकिस्तान और ब्राज़ील के दरमियान जल्द ही एक बिज़नेस कौंसिल जो है वो तश्कील दी जाएगी, जिससे कि दोनों मुल्कों में तजारत और मईशत के शोबे में ज़्यादा ताउन जो है मुमकिन हो सकेगा। انہوں نے اپنے ملک کے اندر جو داخلی بحران ہے سیاسی اس کے حوالے سے اور جو بدعنوانی ہے اس کے خاتمے کے لیے جو اقدامات کیے گئے ہیں برازیل میں ان کا بھی تذکرہ کیا ہے۔ اسی کے ساتھ یہ پروگرام ختم ہوتا ہے۔ جاوید صدیق کو اجازت دیجیے، خدا حافظ۔ Ambassador, thank you very much. It's
Thank
been
you,
a pleasure
Mr. Javier.
talking to you.
A pleasure to me too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
kind of you.